Just Can't Get Enough by Depeche Mode, a band at the forefront of the electronic music boom over recent years. They've recently returned from a tour of the USA and Japan, and as I speak, two of the guys, David Gahan and Martin Gore, are in our Berlin studio. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, this one you have been asked about a million times, I'm convinced. Either of you can answer it. Is it Depeche or is it Depeche?
We don't really mind, actually.
You're dead right, by the way. We have been asked it a million times.
We have been asked it a million times.
Oh, I'm quite sure, yeah.
We don't really mind Depeche or Depeche. It doesn't really matter that much to us.
Where did the name come from originally, then?
It was just picked up from a magazine when I was at college. And it was just, we thought, we was looking for a name and it just seemed to have a good ring, and we decided to go with it.
What did you call yourselves originally? I'm determined to get this out of you. Was it A or just Depeche?
Depeche.
Depeche,
yeah.
So that's the more correct of the two, but you're not bothered?
Yeah, we're not
the least correct.
It's the least correct, but
that's how we used to say it.
We used to say it wrong, but
well,
it
why
doesn't
not?
matter, yeah.
Now, I said you'd just come back from the USA and Japan, that's right, I believe.
Yeah.
How did that go down then?
It was really good, especially Japan. Japan was very good. The fans over there were very nice and very friendly. And America again we've been to America now a few times, and it's getting better every time. And most of the shows were sold out, and so it was really good.
I was going to say, America can be a funny market to crack, can't it? Their music is very, very different.
Yeah, well, we found it very difficult because, in a way, because we're an all-electronic band, and they find it a bit hard to accept that at first, but now we can go over there and we do very well over there, and so it's good.
Now, I'd like to go on to the subject of electronic music in a little while, but still on the subject of foreign tours, how important are they for you commercially? Are they really vital? Because obviously all bands have to tour abroad, and I sometimes wonder if they don't do it just for the prestige. Is the financial aspect important?
Not really. I don't think we actually make any money from touring, especially abroad. But we just like to sort of show our faces a bit. I think it's important to sort of get around and let people see that you are actually a band and not just a few people who get together in a studio and make a little bit of music. You know?
Because also, I mean, in England, sure, obviously you can make money from touring in England. But usually the money that we make from touring in England we spend on going to, say, America or coming to Germany. And the last time we come to Germany, we've done quite an extensive tour, really. And when we're coming back in, I think it's November, then we've got a big tour lined up for then as well.
Now, can I just turn back to the record we started with, Just Can't Get Enough? I can't pretend to be completely au fait with your history. I know it was written by Vince Clarke, who is or was with Yazoo. Was he a member of the band to start with?
Yeah, he was an original member. But now he after that, of course, he went with Yazoo, and now he's left Yazoo, and
he and Alf have gone their separate ways.
Yeah.
They're on the same label as you and you,
right,
so you must know them as well as anybody.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening to them two then?
Well, Vince, I think, is going to be working with some other people, maybe not actually being a member of a band, but helping other bands maybe to get on. And I think Alf will probably go for more of a bluesy things in some ways. I think that's what she really wants to do, and maybe get out on the road.
She's certainly got the voice for it. Back to yourselves, we were saying Vince was one of the original members. How did you all get together in the first place?
Well, I knew Andy from, this is Martin speaking, I knew Andy from school, and he knew Vince through Boys Brigade.
Boys Brigade?
Yeah, so, you know, we all sort of knew each other, and we just decided to form a band. And it just went on from there, you know, sort of as a hobby. And, you know, it just took off from there, really. Then we recruited Dave as a singer after we decided it didn't work with a three-piece, all playing keyboards.
Were you always electronic then? You never bothered with drums and guitars and all that?
In the early days, we used to have guitars. We had just one synth, one bass guitar and one rhythm guitar.
What made you decide to become all electronic then?
Basically, I think it was more of a hassle being a guitar band, because we needed to take amps around with us everywhere, and we didn't really have the transport.
We didn't have the amps.
So, you know, we decided to all buy synths, and then we could just direct inject into PAs wherever we went. That meant we could travel on the train with the synths under our arms.
And it was very easy, because it was very hard to even get gigs, and to pay to sort of do a gig. You know, the cost of doing a gig really just to get a little van and things, and then that was very hard. So we used to just travel on a train with our synths under our arms and turn up at the gig and plug in and play. And so it was very easy, and then from there we just developed into what we are now.
Now, Martin, since Vince has left, I know you've taken over most of the songwriting duties, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, what inspires you to write your songs? Because they're certainly very individual. There's no mistaking the Depeche Mode sound.
Yeah, well, there's nothing in particular, everything really. You know, I go through stages when something might be on my mind, you know, and so I'll just write about that for a while, that's some sort of topic. But nothing really, nothing in particular.
How long does it take you to write a song on average? I'm always very interested when I'm talking to composers and musicians as to where their ideas come from. Is it a case that you just get a thought and ram it all down, or does it take days and weeks?
It's difficult to answer that really, because I might get an idea and write down the basics, say in 5 minutes. Then to actually complete it, I might spend 2 weeks, you know, working on a portrait studio or something. So, you know, basically I can write a song in 10 or 15 minutes, say, but to finish it completely, it might take roughly 2 weeks or so.
Well, we'll hear an example of one of your songs now and come back and talk some more in a moment or two after an excerpt from My Secret Garden. Excerpt from My Secret Garden by Depeche Mode. Or Depeche Mode, apparently it's quite correct to say it either way as far as the band are concerned. And that was written by Martin Gore, and Martin and another member of the band, David Gahan, on the line from our Berlin studio. Martin, was that from a film, My Secret Garden?
No.
I had a feeling it was. I remember reading somewhere, it said excerpt from My Secret Garden, and it said something about a film. That must have been my mistake.
It was used for things in England for it was on, for instance, on a sports programme, I think it was Grandstand, and it was used for the horse racing. But that's as near as it got to the film.
That's possibly what I'm thinking of. Now, electronic music has been around for a while now, getting bigger and better. Do you think it's matured sufficiently to be considered an art form in its own right, rather than a cheap way of providing a fuller sound, which is what it was originally, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know, not really. I think it's just a way. It's good because musicians that are not technically as good as musicians that could pick up a guitar and do a 20-minute solo, they can use electronics in the way that you can put across your ideas and your music without having to really have to be able to play the instruments really well, and I think that's a very good thing.
Now, one thing I'm always reading about is the attitudes of conventional musicians to electronic musicians, especially drummers, with things like the Lindrum around. Do you get much hassle from, say, studio session musicians who obviously must be affected by the boom in electronic music?
Not really, because we never use session musicians.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, the fact that they haven't got any work because of bands like that.
Well, I think that's good, because if a band, I think it's bad in a way for a band to use session musicians, because then it's other people's ideas coming into it as well, whereas if you're doing it as a band, you might as well go the whole way. I don't see the need to use session musicians unless you really want something like there's no other way you can do it, like a saxophone solo or something, but then we can reproduce that anyway.
I never thought of it that way, the purity of electronic music. Interesting answer. So you don't regard electronic music as cheating at all?
No, not at all.
Now, to the actual gear itself, you were mentioning you started with just 3 synths, I think it was. How much apparatus do you have on stage now?
Well, more or less the same, actual instruments-wise.
Roughly the same number of things, it's just that they've improved a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Do you use the computerised job?
Well, yeah, there's Martin plays PPG, and Alan plays a Roland, and Andy's just recently bought an Oberheim, which we're going to be using on the next tour, but also an emulator, which we've made up a lot of our own sounds out on just by banging pieces of metal and things and playing them into this computer, and then we can play it. It's actually got a keyboard and you play it live, so you can also make your own form of sound, which is quite important to us as well.
Sounds like a miniature version of that fiendish beast, the Fairlight.
But it's in a way it's better. I think the quality of the sound is better than the Fairlight,
relative to the price, it's definitely
Yeah,
better.
definitely. It's a lot cheaper than the Fairlight. And
I think we should point out the Fairlight is a computerised musical instrument. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically a very, very fancy synthesizer.
Yeah.
Indeed. Now, on to the future. What are you up to at the moment? You said you were coming back, was it in November for a concert
Yeah.
tour?
well, at the moment we're just finishing mixing the new album, which we're very pleased with so far. It's going very well. We've finished a new single, which is really coming out, I think it's the 11th of July. And then, of course, we start rehearsing and we start touring again in September.
When's the album out then?
End of August.
End of August. What's it going to be called? Do you know yet?
Yeah, it's going to be called Construction Time Again.
Construction Time Again. Well, I should look forward to hearing that. But we have a bit of a scoop on our hands, I believe, don't
Yep.
we? Because the single isn't out until the 11th of July.
No.
But behind you in the Berlin studio, I believe Chris Russell has a tape of it all ready to go.
That's right.
Well, it's a world's first, this, if anybody's listening. The first playing of the Depeche Mode single. What's it called?
Everything counts.
Everything Counts.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have a listen to this one, and it'll be in the shops on the 11th of July, you say?
that's right, yeah.
Fine. Now, what about TV appearances? Any of those lined up?
I think so, yeah. I think that they're doing a few things over here, as well as in England when we get back. When we go back in July, we've got a lot of things to do. We've got to get back and do, so you should be seeing our faces. Hopefully.
Right, well, I shall look forward to catching you in concert, even
Thank you.
more to the new album when it comes out. Martin Gore and David Gahan of Depeche Mode, the very best of luck in the future.
Thanks very much.